Okay. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Tuesday, 25th of November. Long to short ratio steadily coming down, kind of going flat since Monday, to be honest, which is fine. We're underneath 70%, which is kind of nice, but seeing a slight uptick just in the recent price action. Anyway, want to see this continue to fall, hopefully. That'd be nice to see. Apart from that, the legend, there's not really any change on here since yesterday. Kind of just doing a very weak bearish retest at this moment in time. We have gained some sort of volume node at 864. This little retest here at 8 a.m. this morning. So that was about 3 hours ago on everyone's charts, or a little bit more ago. Sorry, this is the 4-hour chart, so it was yesterday. But yeah, nothing too crazy. Not really that much change since yesterday, I believe. Yep. Make sure that is changed. Oh, I need to start doing the hold on. I keep forgetting to do the bot. Do you know what's really annoying about the bot for me is that, like, for example, Zeus's stream yesterday, I was out eating steak with my dad. I just can't bot it, bro. So holy shit, crazy million T-Web single psycho. Just hype shenanigans, mate. Are you willing to hunt this dude with size? Drop a DM. That'd be quite fun. All the shenanigans always happening on Hyperliquid, aren't they? But anyway, let's move on quickly. Bitcoin, yeah, not really any change. We've seen a nice little bit of a bounce, okay, from the lows. It's relatively quite nice, I would say. Yeah, we've kind of created some potential support around 84, 85k now, where we did these lows on Friday and over the weekend. Currently above the weekly open, which is quite good. Potentially going to climb up into 92.5, 93 now, up towards the yearly open, which I would expect a first touch retest. Rejection from this area. But yeah, the larger time frames still haven't done anything. We still haven't tested anything of importance up at, like, the yearly open, for example. And the lower time frame is in a little bit of an uptrend. I would say that this was quite a nice retest of what you wanted to gain there. And simply now we're just bouncing off the weekly open. If we can gain the daily open, we're potentially going to go and squeeze all the way up into, again, 93k, which would be a target to potentially short, just for a first touch rejection. And then if we get up to 93k and we do a high low, then potentially we can talk about, anyway. But until then, nothing really has changed at all, to be honest. Yeah. ETH. ETH's an interesting one. If I just put on this, is because we got very close to the actual target, which was just underneath 2.6k, basically 2.5k. Very, very, very close. Still potential to go for that. There's a lot of liquidations in that area. There's a lot of support there. Maybe just getting front run a little bit at this moment in time. Maybe might do one more down into the lows. Again, this is a potential area for a local bottom. It can take a while. We can bounce up to here. We can get rejected, make a new low, do something like that, and then just it can take a little while to get a bounce. But yeah, looks like it. In the local price action, again, we've gained a decent chunk. Potentially just holding the weekly open will take us up to the previous one, which actually might be a decent little trade. if given. So yeah, not looking too bad. Again, don't lose this, and you're looking for higher in the local price action. That's kind of all you can really go off at this moment in time. Again, the daily is still giga wrecked. I would say the first retest that starts to get interesting is 3K, and maybe actually it's more like 3.1 around that weekly open, but 3 to 3.1 is the first retest that kind of starts to make it a little bit interesting. But other than that, you know, local timeframes up, higher timeframes definitely down. But lots of short liquidity to take. Lots and lots and lots of stuff to take. Sorry if I just hit my mic there. So moving on very quickly to Popcat yesterday. Actually, did anyone manage to get on this? I didn't, because obviously I ended my stream, uploaded my video, and I think it was already gone during stream. So 11:45, I must have finished around 12. Yeah, I mean, could have got it on the previous daily open. Definitely was a really, really nice trade actually during the stream. Perfect retest. It's kind of what you're looking for on all alts now. Basically just to test like this area. There was actually a sneaky close above here, and then this is the retest where you go in and then big pump. Quite similar to how, actually not similar to how Falcon was doing at all, but we did look at this yesterday saying that it looks quite nice. Not similar at all to what Falcon's doing, but this is kind of what we want to see for a bounce on a lot of altcoins, and a couple of altcoins are actually kind of looking relatively interesting for me at this moment. I think it was, so we'll have a look at Hype, we'll have a look at Arve, I believe, potentially even Near. I can't actually remember. So, but yeah, if anyone managed to get that Popcat trade, I think it was about 15%, no? Yeah. 16%, which is quite nice. It's quite nice. Okay. Yes, so Hype. This is starting to look a little bit interesting due to the local price action and basically how there's nothing in the way of this chart. If we do gain this like local high at 30, let's call it $34, basically where we've been bearishly retesting. So I've got a little hourly swing on here, but to be honest, any gain of the daily open now should probably take you up to 37.3, if somewhere in here. Now again, you've got some lower structure here from the 4 hour, but yeah, there's actually just a very good chance that actually I won't put that on. That again, like gaining here would actually just take you up to here, because there's just not really that much in the way of this chart, and could be a decent little move. So I potentially might breakout trade this, even though I'm not really I actually never breakout trade at all. But I kind of like the way it's posturing on the local timeframes. On the lower timeframes. I like the way it's kind of like stepping up. However, without gaining this, it just doesn't really. I'm just not really that keen on it at this moment in time. However, holding here and getting a new high, I would definitely be potentially interested in a little bit of a trade, which would probably be about 10 to 15%. So yeah, that's actually one thing that's interesting me this week. I'm going to be keeping an eye on this for sure. Definitely a few like local closes above, and not looking too bad. Another thing looking quite interesting, I would say, is Arve actually kind of done something already. I think we were looking at this, I can't remember, it was yesterday or something. Yep, actually coming up to the highs now. This is actually doing something interesting, at least. We've had a test. We've obviously got these lows now. Let's see if we can hold anything. I mean, this kind of looks like straight up. It's probably going to break down on the first test, something like this. So there might be a local short here, especially as we are getting overbought and we are in resistance. We've actually hit there quite nicely. So there might be a little bit of a local short, especially on the daily open, which kind of like takes us back down to retest some of these levels. But yeah, it's looking interesting. I would say, you know, gaining this definitely would lead us up into here, which actually might be a decent little trade. But other than that, yeah, it's not looking too bad. I might keep an eye on this as well. If we go to the hourly, yep, seeing some local breakdown actually. I would say that that is what you want to gain back now. Well, actually, I might as well just put. So you can see that we're actually locally breaking down from this daily open. Yeah, could be an interesting one actually for a little scalp short, especially if you pull a fib from here to here from this new low. So yeah, we actually already got the retest of here. So interesting, definitely something that I'm keeping an eye on. And last but not least, I think it was near that actually kind of was interesting me a little bit off these lows. So this kind of reminds me of what Popcat was doing low key, where we got that local higher high with the breakout. Definitely a nice little retest on this overlapping support. And again, there's not too much in the way of this chart until we really get up to sort of here and then potentially up to the highs. So yeah, starting to look interesting for sure. Actually done a nice little close above this swing. So yeah, as long as we can hold sort of, you know, looking to hold this low somewhere in there around the weekly open, actually might prove for a decent little punt it along. So yeah, that's the things that are interesting me. I believe I skipped over Solana. The reason why I'm not spending too much time on Bitcoin and ETH is because there's pretty much no change since yesterday at all. So yeah, you guys can just go and watch yesterday's update or yesterday's video on my YouTube if you want to a little bit more, because I believe that we were literally just here on the retest, and now we made a new high. We're just basically doing another retest. It's basically the same. So yeah, looking good. Apart from that, I believe that we should have a quick look at Solana. I need a little bit of tea. So yeah, Solana. What is that blue line that I've got on there? Okay, that's the daily low. Okay, okay, nice. So blue line's the daily low. That's kind of the line in the sand. We've created some decent lower time frame support on this retest here. I would say that potentially you could, it wouldn't be a Stuber, but you could draw a fib from here to here. And again, you're probably looking for a long up into resistance at 144.5 to 142 to 144.5. Seeing some local breakdown again. There's a potential local short here on the daily open if you came up to retest bearishly. The reason why I say that is because obviously local breakdown of level hasn't been retested yet. Actually quite an easy invalidation from there is just gain that. It's about a 1% range. So very, very quite pinpoint. Would be quite nice actually as a scalp. And if that did take you down into the weekly open support, you could potentially long it for a bounce up. If it doesn't make a new high on the bounce, you're probably gonna roll over. But yeah, it doesn't look too bad actually. I think there is a couple potential trades on there. Like that, like so. 1, 2, and then yeah, we're about to target somewhere up here, hopefully. Yeah, so actually looking pretty decent this week. Finally actually got something that interests me to a certain extent. yeah, so that's about it. Anyone got any questions? Any interesting things to look at? Any altcoins? Any thoughts? Any help you need? Feel free to put them in the chat. Apologies because I'm feeling a little bit under the weather today. So I kind of blasted through that a little bit. Oh yeah, that does actually look like your cat. I have a cat on my road that looks exactly like that as well. So yeah, that's a very well-rounded, succinct sort of update. I know I've given you quite a lot of information. So I would probably say that the one trade that I'm looking at the most is maybe... I quite like the Solana. I think it's done something quite nice. I quite like Solana. I liked PopCat, but not anymore. I think it's kind of in the middle of nowhere at the moment. I quite like what was locally breaking down. It was, I can't remember. Short-term memory loss. I quite like Near. It's kind of interesting. There's a lot of overlapping support here, and very, very locally, this high is quite important. This new high. So yeah, just hold the lows potentially. Another one potentially looking interesting is Dot, but also looks kind of weak at the same time. I would want to see that 4-hour close above the weekly. If it does, there's a very, very potential long trade here. Basically just saying if you close above here, that's also the AA6, you could potentially take a little punt with a stop somewhere there. So what's the risk on that? About 1% stop. I kind of like that. It's minimal risk for a worthy pump. Yeah, could be okay. Could be not the best. Not really something that's lighting my world up. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of potentials at this moment in time. I do think at the least we're probably going to get some sort of like really boring grind up bounce, which might take a little while, and then that will either end in like a rate card dump, and then we'll probably break something and like rip all of this, or they'll just send it back to hell. But yeah, looking pretty interesting. All right, let me check the chat. Can you please check AIA? Sure. What's people's views on JP Morgan manipulating the market since June, driving the price of Bitcoin down, and then with MicroStrategy delisting from MSCI and shorting the stock? So I don't know actually anything about this MSCI. I'm not really keeping up with the news that much. JP Morgan and Co. may be manipulating the price. I mean, manipulation's always been a part of it. I just believe that is kind of FUD. Probably whatever you're talking about is FUD, just to drive uncertainty in the market. There's an interesting case to be made that some of the banks like JP Morgan and BlackRock see MicroStrategy as a kind of rival or obstacle in a way if they're trying to accumulate a lot of Bitcoin as most as possible. So it might be a concerted attack, but I'm not really sure if, talking about this is fun and it's interesting, but it should be separated from your trading massively. So yeah, I don't really have an opinion. Your question is probably better posed towards Viking or Zeus maybe. I've heard that if I keep saying Mister gains 2x, JP Morgan goes bankrupt on the short as it's naked, but I don't know. Yeah, I mean, maybe. Who knows? I really don't really have a sophisticated opinion to tell you about that because I just don't know anything about it. But sounds like fun, to be honest. AIA, yes. So this is I don't know what this is. Jesus. What is this chart? Nah, this is not good. This is not good, bro. I mean, yeah. I guess what you've done is you've made a new local high. So this is your local high, and this would be your low, which you are actually holding. So I would say that this looks good. If you like this coin, it looks okay. It's holding lows. It's got a new local high. There's potentially some stuff to do back up here, sort of like around here. Probably a lot of short liquidity on the way down. Sorry, on the way up to eat. I don't know what this is, but the chart looks good. Looks like the buy zone. I'd say if you like it, probably buy a bit of this area. Sell. 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 And then, you could sell a little bit more up here if you get out there. Moscow, thanks for the day. No worries. See you later. It's going to be a short one anyway. I kind of like keeping the information quite compact. Yeah, it looks fine. I mean, I don't know what this is. I don't know what kind of altcoin this is, what it does. It's obviously had a really bad sell-off since, well, actually this month, to be honest. Had a really big spike. Really bad sell-off. Potentially could see another spike. Could buy a bit on spot. Not financial advice, of course, but yep, you're in the buy zone. You've actually held quite nicely as well. Looks like it's getting daily open as well. Yeah, it looks nice. Looks good. I like it. I'm a fan. I am a fan. Yeah, one other thing potentially looking interesting. FET. We'll have to see where this 4-hour closes. Just potentially looking interesting. Not looking at anything in the immediate term on this, but obviously held the 4-hour low here. Got some wicks in there. Don't really want to see this weekly open lost. Would kind of like to see this squeeze up a little bit more. Oops. Into basically something like so. And just go potentially flat. And then maybe get a pop. But again, in the immediate term, not too interested. Just watching. It looks kind of interesting. Yeah. So yeah. I think if I were to give potentially one thing that looks the best, I would maybe say, well, Arve's tested its high first. So it's looking the most active for sure. I would say that. Yep, there's a scalp short and a potential long if we get back down to sort of like the weekly open sort of area, although it is tested already. Relatively quite interesting. Nears at the lows could be quite nice. I quite like this new local high. Yeah, not too bad. Got lots of support actually here. What's that? 3, 6, 5, 4. I mean, there's so much support. Evax looks a bit sketchy actually. Yeah, probably hype as well. One more HUSDT. H, what the hell? Humanity Protocol. Oh, this boy, altcoin hunting. To close below. No, this is not it. Ooh, I don't know. This is a weird looking chart, man. But this looks like very controlled selling. Not natural at all, actually. Not natural at all. Got some hidden bull div on the daily, and I've tagged oversold. An interesting prospect. I would say that this is potentially a small cap altcoin, which you're probably looking to spot trade a bit. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I'd say the same thing as the other altcoins. You've established a small amount of support here that, if held right here where we are now, basically, could prove the start of a trend change, just because we have this new local high. Chart looks a bit weird, to be honest. Looks like there's something a bit weird going on here, but looks like a bullish backtest at this moment in time. I would say that you could try. Definitely run a stop on this. Looks a bit weird though. I don't know. That's about 5%. Yeesh. I don't know. This chart gives me kind of a weird vibe. Oh, you're not bothering me at all, brother. Do not worry, sir. You're on the hunt for a good altcoin, aren't you? He's on the prowl. Anyway, I don't really have much to say about this, to be honest. I don't actually know what there is to say. Locally, this looks quite good, though. I would say that, you probably just want to hold that low, really. This is quite important here. And you've also created that overlapping structure, that overlapping support. So potentially could catch a couple bids in here and just set your stop below on like a 1x on like a spot. But I don't know. I'm not really the biggest fan of that. I think there's something a bit weird going on there. Up on H, but way down on AIA. It made me a lot while running up. Bit drained me on the way down. Yeah, you're probably You might be looking at a bit of a pump on AIA. Damn, what is the move on this? This is nut. That was nuts. 18x, Jesus. The fuck is this? Looks like a new coin as well. This is probably gonna go again. I actually quite like this compared to H. It's a bit weird. It looks a bit like the Burj Khalifa actually. But this wasn't that long ago, and I would say it's holding structure. It's had a nice recent spike of volume as well. So yeah, it's quite simple. Just like if you lose, if you lose this area, it's dead. But right now you're above all the major stuff. So anyway, I won't exhaust that. We've already looked at that, and we've already looked at that. So yep, two things looking decent. Keeping my eye specifically on Arve near hype. Other than that, I think I'm in a so long actually. Yeah, I think I'm watching solos. I'm in a so long. It's not the bit. It's probably like it's like 40 to 50% of my usual size. I think I got it around here or something. I'll probably get the rest on the weekly open. But yeah, that could be a decent little short in the near term on the daily open. Weekly opens are long. And yeah, hopefully we get some easy trading this week. I mean, if it did that, rejected on the weekly open, went down to the weekly, bounced, then made a new high up to like 144, that would just be textbook. It would literally just be textbook stuff. So yeah, that's it for me today. I'm going to go and rest myself.